this life was all I ever wanted.
I'm not leaving. Not yet.
I was hoping you'd say that.
We gotta hit the streets, make some money.
People like us must destroy people like him. Buckle up.
Get Showtime free at Showtime.com.
Let's get into this now. Dominick Cruz. Dominick Cruz is going to get a title shot at UFC 249. Dana White has defended this, saying he's still one of the best guys in the world. However, he hasn't fought in almost 4 years, and he is currently unranked. BC, I'm in the giving mood. I would love for you to go first on this one because I know you got ants in the pants about it. Is this the right call by the UFC, or is this just strange calls and strange times?
Look, it's hard to answer that right now, Luke, because we're in such a strange time. So, no. And we're also, by the way, coming right off of where Jose Aldo was picked for this spot, coming off of 2 defeats, including to the current top contender in Marlon Moraes, who's, up there in a crowded bottleneck division to begin with. So we're already in a weird spot, yet it almost feels like Dominick Cruz somehow makes a little bit more sense than Aldo, even though it makes, in reality, less sense. And in the overall picture right now, of course it makes no sense. Yet at the same time, this is a fantastic story. One that's really getting hidden within everything having to do with 249 and COVID and Tai Chi Palace, as I would say, and Luke would get upset about. But Dominick Cruz is obviously a legend. But here's the deal, Luke. He's the most inspirational figure or person I've ever come across in pro sports, interviewing, covering, being around. And I don't think that necessarily, is a free pass to cut the line, which he's essentially doing right now, considering we do have the Moraises, the Petroyans, the Aljamain Sterlings, who are certainly much more deserving at the moment. But they're just trying to cut and paste fights together. I mean, that's what Ferguson Gaethje is at the moment. So under that setting, this is a great fight. It's a great story, a great opportunity. Yes, Cruz hasn't fought in 2 years. Yes, that was a loss, but it wasn't a title fight to Cody Garbrandt. And even though Cruz refuses to sort of put weight on it, he was injured in that fight. That wasn't him, so to speak. Obviously, he's going to have to prove 4 years later, can he do that? But if anyone can do it, it's him, Luke. He's done it before. This is such a great story and a great opportunity. And it really has nothing to do with the fact that the cringe master, is the champion right now, Henry Cejudo, and a lot of us are just like, oh my God, that cringe is killing me. This is just a very interesting matchup to see if this great veteran champion can add a type of almost Paul Bunyan-esque layer to his resume, Luke. I love it. I can't wait to see the fight. Their styles match up so interestingly well, and sometimes you just have to put the journalistic pen down and just cheer for someone from the standpoint of inspiration and encouragement and just loving who they are and what they bring to the game. And in a lot of ways, that's Dominick Cruz.
This one is weird for me because I'm all over the place with it, BC. I mean, here's the thing. Let's just talk about brass tacks, which is, where is this fight taking place? Yes, Jacksonville, but I mean, what kind of card? Now, Dana White told Kevin Iole that those cards on that subsequent Wednesday and that subsequent Saturday, he doesn't know if they're airing on ESPN Plus or ESPN. He just didn't know at the time. I guess we'll have to end up seeing. I suspect it'll probably be ESPN Linear because they're desperate for content, but whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But he's fighting Dominick Cruz at UFC 249. You're going to sell this on pay-per-view. Let's just say what it is. If you're going to have a pay-per-view, you've already lost Khabib. You need something if you're going to have another title fight that has some kind of intrigue. And unless you're a hardcore, Peter Yan versus Henry Cejudo does not have that kind of bigger picture intrigue. I talked to Corey Sandhagen. They didn't even offer him the fight, and he beat Rafael Sunsao, who, of course, beat Aljamain Sterling. So you can talk about Sterling and Sandhagen. Neither of them got offered a title fight, right? They both got left, hanging out to dry, so to speak. They went straight to Cruz. Cruz is unranked, as I mentioned, and has not fought in 3.5, nearly 4 years. But as you indicated, he came back against Mizugaki after a long layoff and blew the doors off of him. He came back against TJ Dillashaw and proved at least he was competitive at the time with the top of that division. You have seen this guy take massive amounts of time off and then come back and be very, very competitive. So between that and his name value recognition and his story about dealing with injuries and how he is known to fans for being a commentator and a brilliant mind who can sort of figure out his way through most problems, it becomes a significantly better fight in terms of intrigue for the kind of audience you're trying to appeal to. Remember, the biggest audience in MMA is not the hardcore audience, it's the casual audience. Dominick Cruz is the bridge to get to them much more easily. So I think that's a big reason why this fight is happening. In the end, I don't know if he's going to beat Henry Cejudo. Neither do you. Like, we have no clue. What I will say is UFC is running a risk. Because if Peter Yan fought Henry Cejudo and got the doors blown off, you would just say, well, Cejudo is just that much better, and we gave him the best guy he could fight, and that's that. On the other hand, if Cruz goes up in there and gets mollywopped, I'm not saying he will, but let's just posit a scenario where he does, UFC is going to look like they made a craven move to just move pay-per-view units when 20 million Americans were out of work. On the other hand, if he goes in there and at least makes a strong account of himself, or Brian Campbell, can you imagine if he wins the title, they'll be completely vindicated, even if there were more, let's say, cynical reasons for why this fight should take place. They're betting on themselves to win here one way or the other.
And let's just be, out and open with it. When Aldo was announced for this, I ended up just going, look, how could it be so wrong if it feels so right? The fan in me loved it. But this is all under the guise of this. Look, this is a middle finger to their rankings, but this isn't the first time. So that's not me saying that's the best way to do your promotion. At the end of the day, MMA is entertainment. UFC is an entertainment business. 46-year-old Dan Henderson got a title shot just a couple years ago after elbowing Hector Lombard in the face viciously a few times. Like, it doesn't always make sense. They've done this before. They're going to do this again. Under these circumstances, though, I don't see how you can really criticize. Normally, yes, you can criticize. Jose Aldo in that spot, it was a little dicey, right? I like Jose Aldo. I like the story potential there. But under these circumstances, what are you going to say? Look, what are you going to say? We're just lucky to get fights back.
Yeah, I mean, again, beggars can't be choosers. That's a big part of it. I will say, though, I do feel for Sterling and Sandhagen, who themselves were supposed to fight, and I think that all got scuttled because of the California Commission shutting things down in May. Now, maybe they'll get back to it, and the winner of that will then leapfrog into a position to take on the winner of this. But again, we're in this time where the UFC is going to have to make decisions about where fights take place and with whom, that are just not going to be anything resembling normal. And I don't think that we have a responsibility as fans or media to just go along with it. On the other hand, because of the unique nature of what Cruz has shown, you can't immediately dismiss it, BC. You got to say, look, something there.
Outside of the fact that Cruz did lose his last fight to Garbrandt, although, again, it was a title fight, is this remotely, I mean, is this like, what am I trying to say here? When GSP came back and got the middleweight title shot, never fought in the division before, hadn't fought in X amount of years. I know he's coming off of wins, but that was at welterweight. It's kind of the same thing. Stars get extra special treatment normally. It is what it is. This is a great story. All things considered, love it. Embrace it. It's going to be great. And the cringe era might be over at bantamweight. We're going to find out, Luke.
This life was all I ever wanted.
I'm not leaving. Not yet.
I was hoping you'd say that.
We gotta hit the streets, make some money.
People like us must destroy people like him. Buckle up.
Get Showtime free at Showtime.com.